This is fun. First time being live on YouTube. So, we're going to be addressing a question of how much time we should be studying on a weekly or daily basis. The first thing that we need to pay attention to when we're addressing this question, rather, is what are our goals, right? What are the goals that we're aiming for? Are we looking for front end? Are we looking for back end? Are we looking for full stack? Uh, and then from there, we're going to assess basically what our focus should be, right? It helps with the learning path there. And so we need to also take into account like how much knowledge do we have, right? And what's our timeline? Are we focusing on 3 months? Are we focusing on 6 months? Are we focusing on a year? Because that all fluctuates. It all depends on how long we're focusing on. So if we're focusing on a short amount of time, then like 3 months, then we're gonna have to get really serious. We're really gonna have to crunch down and spend as much time as possible, like close to 40-hour weeks, right? If we're looking at 3 months. But I do also believe that a lot can be done in a short amount of time if you have the right approach to it and the right focus to it. Consistency over time beats just focusing on the weekend. So, say for instance, you put 10 hours each day on Saturday and Sunday, you have 20 hours in a week. That's a lot in each day. But the next weekend you go by, and then the next weekend you're going to be reviewing what you went over last week. At least that Saturday you're going to be reviewing what you did the previous week. It's much better to just do, maybe an hour and a half every single day if you can, and then that way it adds up because the consistency over time it compiles. It's just much better to do it that way. And we want to have a realistic timeline, like I mentioned, but I do think that 3 to 6 months is a reasonable timeline if you're very dedicated, if you're serious and you have a very serious learning curve. So you got a mentor, you got a good structured program that's going to guide you through. Try to avoid tutorial hell. Tutorial hell is like when you're just watching tutorial after tutorial. You're not necessarily building anything, you're just copying the code. And when we're just copying code, we're good at like we're learning typing skills, but we're not necessarily learning how to code for ourselves. And because of that, then it just makes us feel like we're doing something when we're not really doing something, right? So we want to make sure we got a clear goal, right? We want to assess what do we currently know and create a timeline for that. Then we also for the daily, if we can at least study for like maybe at least 30 minutes. Tell yourself 5 minutes. I'm only going to stay for 5 minutes and just see how long that goes. Do that every single day. You're going to be way better off. And if it's only 5 minutes, then it's only 5 minutes. But you're going to be way better off doing that every single day for whatever is your time period. So again, if your time period is 6 months, you have a little bit more leeway. A year, you have a lot more leeway, right? And so that's how we're going to go about it. If you're counting for weekly, again, I prefer daily. I prefer seconds, honestly, if you can count the amount of seconds that you put in. So if like you move your head away, you're not like studying or you're on your phone on Instagram, it's real easy for like 10 minutes to just fly by. And we might tell ourselves we're on the computer for like an hour, but were we really? I'm super guilty of that. Like, am I really like coding for that whole hour? Probably not, right? And so like how many seconds, how many minutes have I been putting in? And if you actually want to be a software engineer in 2024, we got to get serious. There's no other way around it. Like we just got to be willing to put in the work. It's all right. Here's the secret. Here's the secret. If you're buying a Udemy course, or you have somebody that's guiding you, or you're on YouTube, right? And you see they're building this amazing website. They're building a clone, Reddit clone, Instagram clone, whatever. They're building something. This is what you need to do. You also need to start building that, right? Start building it, sure. And then stop. Like, start it enough where you got something going on. It's a little bit functional, and now you just deviate from it. You do something completely different. You start breaking code. You start exploring. That is going to teach you way more than following that tutorial in its entirety, right? Getting that Udemy course and completing it means nothing. You're going to get a little certificate of completion, which is kind of like just having like the sticker on the wall when you're in grade school and you like read a book and then they give you a sticker for it. It's like, you're not really getting much for that. Like, it's nice, it's encouraging, but are we doing this just to be encouraged? Maybe. I mean, but I know I wasn't. I was doing this so I could get paid. I was doing this to start touching six figures. And I'm pretty sure most of you are doing that too. And that's why you're here, right? Like, how can I make sure I'm organizing my time? So even if I don't have a lot of time to study, because a lot of people probably have careers, maybe you might have kids, you might have other responsibilities that you're doing, right? So what's the way to maximize my time while I'm actually studying? And the way that you can maximize your time is getting started and then making it on your own. Have a plan, deviate from that, make your own website. For me, it'll be like Dave's book instead of Facebook, and I'll do some crazy stuff and make it like all different. Make it all silly. I'll make it all weird just so I can learn, just so I could break stuff and learn. So quantity is not over quality. It's super important. A lot of people also like to think I need to have so many, projects. So like, I'm going to be studying, 1 hour a day. I got 1 hour a day. I'm going to be able to study. And that's good. You have 1 hour. That's perfect. You could do that every day. You're going to get really, really far, especially if you're focused and you know what to do and you're not just watching those tutorials, right? You're going to get really, really far. But make sure what you're building is actually something of substance. So like, you might start off building something silly, but then come up with an idea that might make a difference in your life, somebody else's life. Leverage the experiences that you have, right? If you are a college student, maybe there's something going on in your dorm that would be cool if there was a website for or application for. You never know. Experiment, explore, talk to some friends. Be like, man, if you had this, would that be cool? If you're already working currently, that means you have work experience. What would make your job easier? Or if you have a hobby or you're passionate about something, what can make that hobby or that passion even better? So, for example, there's a YouTuber and he loves jujitsu. He started making a website analyzing jujitsu moves. And now he charges $12 for a membership to that website that he created. And I believe he has over 400 or 500 people already signed up for $12 every single month. Having a clear goal will get you really far, but also it has to have some value to it. It has to have some value to it. So make sure you include that. And I'm thinking if I should drop this in another video, I was just going to share it now. Why not? Why not? So as you're continuously growing and the goal is to become a software engineer, if you guys want to put anything in the chat, let me know. Like, I see some people here, it'll be nice. But yeah, so as you're growing, you're going to need somebody to help you with your code. You're going to need someone to look at your code. So whether you're going to weekly or bi-weekly meetups and they have showcases, you need to present your code. You need to get practice speaking on your code. There's the rubber duck method of speaking to a rubber duck, but rubber duck doesn't talk back. Rubber duck doesn't ask you questions back. So it's really good to go to showcases to be able to show that you're actually doing something, like you're actually developing. And for yourself, it's usually the showcases are so encouraging. The developers there are so nice because they know how hard it is to get started doing something. So don't feel like you're going to be an imposter. Don't feel like you're going to be a fraud. Don't feel like any of those things, because trust me, like I felt like all of those things, honestly. But when you go, they're so warm and encouraging. It's like really like having a family, and they definitely will want to help you. And so definitely recommend it. So amount hours. How many hours do you need in a day to study? It doesn't like again, how can I say that? How can I say that exactly? What we have here. How do we spend our day? What? I can't even see it. It says I can't see the question. Why is it doing that? How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. Ooh, I like that. Yes. There are things that you can do in addition. Jot little notes, like 3 things that you can do in that day that you want to achieve that day. So software engineers is probably no secret. Hopefully, you guys know that every single day that you go to work, if you're working in a organized organization, you're going to have stand-ups, and they're going to ask you, what did you do yesterday? What did you work on yesterday? What are you going to do today? What are you working on today? And is there anything stopping you from achieving that? Every single day, you answer those questions. Every single day, and you continue to move on from there, and you will progress. If you answer those questions, you absolutely will progress. Now, in terms of the hours, you got to be consistent. If it's 30 minutes, it's 30 minutes, but make it the best 30 minutes if it is. What is your goal? I want to know. I want to know. Some people in this chat, I do got to go in 4 minutes. We got a showcase of our own at Dev Journey, but I am curious, like, what are your goals? Are you trying to become a software engineer in 3 months? You want to be a software engineer, find a job in 2 months? What kind of experience do you have? I'm curious. What kind of experience do you have? Because it could be possible. I mean, right? You could be dang near like on the brick of getting a job tomorrow. I'm curious. Find a job in 2 months. Very little code, or find a job within the next year. Very little coding. So if we have very little coding, one thing that we can do, if we have very little coding experience, the best thing that we can do right now is in 2 months. That's a very tight window with little coding experience. The best thing that we can do is probably get somebody that has the experience and leverage them, like pick their brain. You basically are going to take everything that they know and just put it into your brain, right? So get all of their insight. So that's obviously looking like getting a mentor, and to really be able to guide you and push you towards becoming a software engineer. So, like, for example, most people get a course and they study the course, and then they try to build a project and they struggle, and then they say, oh, coding is probably not for me, or it's just a slow progress. What you need to do is get that mentor, tell them an idea that you want to build, and then start building that idea. It sounds very scary. It sounds very scary, like, oh no, I need to know all the basics, I need to learn all of these things. While you're building that project, right, you told your mentor they're going to let you know what languages you need to learn. You learn just enough to get started, then you get started building that site. That one project alone is going to make you skip probably 2 months, 3 months of learning. I want to turn my website into a mobile app. Turning your website into a mobile app could be a nice way to how do you say, it could be a nice way if you're looking to become a mobile developer, right? If you're looking to become a mobile developer, then that's great. And it's very important to identify what your goals are. So if your goal is to be a mobile developer, then focus on that. If your goal is to be a web developer, then focus on that. And then once you achieve that goal, then deviate, right? then deviate. That's my best advice. Be like, have tunnel vision for what it is that you set out to do. And if you learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then focus on that. But I do gotta go. Thank you guys for making this interactive. I really appreciate it. This is something that we're gonna start trying to do at least 5 times a week. So I don't know how you guys found out about it, but tell some friends. We want to grow this and just be able to give a lot of value to the community and make 2024 our year. All right, guys. So I'll see you. Thanks again. Bye.